the middle paragraph of Vayis Beis, he's talking about Toyu and Tikkun, and he's saying, quoting from the Zohar, the Zohar makes this broad sweeping statement, and that is that the knowledge, both Bechlal and Befrat, that Hava Yehu Elikim, this is, says the Zohar, Do Pikud Kadmo, this is the commandment that precedes all others. The basic question, and the Zohar makes it clear that Hava Yehu Elikim means they are one and the same. The basic question was, how is that possible, given that they are opposites? In fact, there couldn't be any greater opposite possible. Then Hava Elikim, then Bli Gvul and Gvul. Then in the transcendent, the infinite, and the finite, the immanence, the present, the contained, Oyer and Keli. The Nakud of the answer was that even though the nature of Oyer, the nature of revelation is revelation, the nature of Keli is containment, and that's their overt nature, and that's how Hashem manifests himself, that overt quality dominate or define even the nature of his expression. This is Oyer, Bli Gvul, and this is Gvul. But of course, it all comes from him. So not only is there source one, it's at Atzmos, everything comes from Atzmos, and therefore their source, in essence, is the same as the Eibishter himself. That's a given. The Chiddush, the Nakud of the Maamar is that since the Kavan Pnimis, the inner intent of the Oyer is not transcendence, but that he should be known. Oyer means God is known, revealed to others, us, down here in Olam Hazeh. So the whole point of Oyer is that a finite created being know him. Therefore, the Pnimius of the Oyer, its nature is not transcendence. Its Pnimius nature is in fact investure, because that's the Kavanah Pnimius. And likewise, the Kelim, even though the Kelim, their external Kavanah is containment and concealment, but there too, the purpose of that containment is to allow the Oyer to be experienced by finite existence, by you and I. And he brought the example of the Shemesh and the Mogen. That the purpose of the Mogen is not to eclipse the sun's light, but that the sun's light be beneficial to creation, and hence it's filtered. So in the case of the Shemesh and the Mogen, we don't have there's no question to begin with in essence, because both are finite. The sun is not infinite, it's powerful, and it's contained and filtered. But Havaya is the true Bli Gvul. So again, the answer is that the divine intent, which is that Hashem be known by us, and experienced by us, and internalized by us, in the words of the Maamar Bis Yashvos, that's the divine intent that motivates this whole process. Hence, factored into the Oyer and the Keli are opposite. There are opposite dimensions or an opposite behavior, opposite to their external behavior. Oyer is infinite and Gvul is finite. But that's not what the story ends. So the Kavanah Pnimius is factored into the Oyer itself. Notwithstanding its external nature, the Kavanah Pnimius of Oyer is contained revelation, but revelation, not compromising the Bli Gvul of it. That's the Chiddush too. The Bli Gvul of it is not compromised. The lowest creation should know and appreciate the infinitude of Hashem. And the nature of the Keli is not simple containment, but containment in order that there be revelation here. So right there, we might say, is that the whole nature of Avodah, which is go against your nature, is right here. The person is born with a nature, and a good as Ches and Gevurah, they're in Kedusha. Some people are by nature just very giving, some people by nature are very demanding. And both of those Ches and Gevurah, of course, start in Kedusha, which is fine. But what we're seeing here is that the whole Avodah is to go against your nature. The Oyer should be Nimshach, the Keli should reveal. person who is that's another yichud of avayna likim, avaya chesed likim gvura, to draw a broader connection. Same avodah, a person who's avodah is his way of chesed has to serve also. Not that he shouldn't, but he has to also serve in gvura. He has to bring gvura to bear to his chesed. The person's only gevura has to serve Hashem, not only also sometimes with chesed, but has to bring chesed to his gevura. Therein lies avodah. So that is olam ha'tikun. That happens already in Atzilus. Atzilus is the integration of the oil and the keli for this kavan. Whereas tohu, that's what we're up to. So let's read those words. By the words v'zeh shavai v'likim kol echad. You all have the maamar, yeah? But I don't know if those are sitting here don't have the same layout as I do, but I don't know. So what line it is, I don't know for you, but it's a.
Let's say the line which starts what with what?
You don't have the same layout. If you got it from the internet that I sent, it's not.
No, I have Teres Menachem.
It's not the same layout. What?
The lines still start with the same word.
They do start with the same words. Yeah. Okay. So the lines begin with Umagalim Moishe. That's how the line begins, and it's 2/3 down from the second last paragraph. And that's the meaning, in essence, of Havai and Elikim, all one. It's one Eibush, it's one Kavanah. So he creates duality, plurality, but the duality is not a question of balance. It's one Kavanah. The Kavanah is that in the dual, the plurality of its expression, yes and no, infinite, finite, bli gvul gvul, it's one kavanah, that we should know him in a personal, internalized way. So this is the kavanah achas, shezeh kefi shebel matikun dafke. So where does the kavanah emerge? At which process in the whole process of creation is elam matikun. Elam atzilus is oiris and kelim. It's an integrated, unified world. It's called elam ma'achtos, in fact. How, in contrast to B'toyu, so Toyu is the raw, yet non-integrated, really overt, and an external expression of Elikus, and therefore Bli Gvul is Gvul, and Gvul is Gvul, and they're not, and they clash. One eclipses the other. You can't have both simultaneously. So it's interesting that to consider, the higher you go, the more we expect unity, but the fact is not. In fact, is beyond that Atzilus, it's not unity. It's not unity. It's not integrated. As he says, the so in Torah, when he uses language of time, but it means in Inyan, when Chesed is revealed, Shinyana Gili, which is Gili, Gvura cannot exist at the same time, so it's dismissed. And the opposite, this is hinted to in the descendants of Esav, then their kings. The pasuk says, in the Parshas of Vayishlach, he ruled, Vayamas, and he died. The next one ruled, next one died. The idea of ruling king, they're all fiefdoms. That's how you pronounce it, fiefdom. They were kingdoms, they were intolerant of the other. So there's ruling and then there's death. That's a constant process. So that's the Shviras HaKelim. So what's happening there is their encounter there of Gvul and Bli Gvul, but it's a shattering encounter. And the Gvul is just shattered. And from there falls the Nitzovim Kedusha into the world, and the whole Kavanah thereafter is to reunite these shards, as it were. The Gvul, the hard-core limitation and concealment, united with the oil, so that the gvul itself reveals, the night itself illuminates. And it's in simpler language that finally when Mashiach comes, revisiting every dark moment in history and in our personal lives, and we see that it's all revelation, it's all him. It's all the deepest connection. That's the whole kavanah. So in Tikkun, Mashenkin b'Tikkun, Iskalala, so Tikkun is already integration. So there's the question that we mentioned yesterday. So why are we going further than Atzilus? Wonderful. Atzilus is the kavanah, did it b'tachtoinim, Eres and Kalim. We'll see. Atzilus ain't perfect yet either. Far from it. But let's go further. Minyan Iskalus b'Tikkun. And from this iskalulos, this integration that in fact defines the malatzilus, sha'oin nigval edeakeli vakeli tefeses v'ha'oid. So the oid is contained by the keli, and the keli grasps the light. Muchach, the fact that that can happen there, which is impossible, but it's happening. Therefore, perforce, we conclude that they are not opposites as they appear to be overtly. It's one kavana, God be known, and therefore each one expresses the other without compromising it. So this is the general avodah which the Zohar said, the first and primary commandment, ladas to know, shavai likim kolachad. Shavai likim all one, hainu shina avodah hu lifel ba'kelim. So what's avodah? Avodah is to affect in the kelim, concealment, containment. That's us. Starting with our seichel and midas, and certainly nefesh b'hamis and the guf, all of it. Naturally, the keli, like the animal, is drawn downwards. So this notes that there are many animals, not most of them, who don't know that there's a sky. And I never saw the sky, unless it was turned on its back. But they probably had their eyes closed when that happens. I got to see the horses next time when they roll on their backs. Are their eyes open or closed? Even if they're open, they're probably just thinking about their backs being scratched on the grass. So I don't think they'd even notice the sky. That's the physical behemoth. His head is on par with his stomach and the lower organs. It's all one level, and he's looking downwards. That's the nature of keli. Keli is to be drawn downwards, containment. The more contained, the better the keli. So the avodah is that even though that's the way things are overtly, that the keli should know that the only reason you're a keli is that godliness should be revealed in you and to and even you. So the keli should then, through avodah, be open to that which is opposite and express that which is opposite to its overt nature. Namely, be a keli to oir, to light, revelation. Likewise in oir, the kavan is that it too behave, quote unquote, opposite to its nature. The nature of light is to diffuse and to ascend. That no, that the light, the revelation of Hashem's presence be drawn into and integrated into kelim in finitude. Us, mind and heart, body, nefesh b'hamis. Here it's continue, now the last paragraph. It amazes me, the story that I have today, which is not Behem Shechta yesterday. I can see now, we'll see. It's quite the story. Okay, gotta stay till the end. So the Iker Avodah, the main Avodah is the Keli. Because the Oyer, as it were, revelation, appreciates revelation. And so that revelation should be revealed to another level, lower level. It's Takeh Chidush. The nature of Avodah is transcendence, but not such a terrible Avodah. Because Hashem's revealed there, and this is what Hashem wants, so we'll do it. But the Keli doesn't know from anything. It's a much harder Avodah. That's where the emphasis has to be. In the end, the real chiddush is in the oil, but the emphasis in terms of the actual mandate is work on the kelim. As he goes on to explain, Moishe being in Yiditz HaNeshama b'Guvnei v'Shabamis, just like the Neshama in the Guvnei v'Shabamis. Here too, oil and keli. Shaneshama being in Oides, the Neshama is revelation. V'Guvnei v'Shabamis being in kelim. So the mandate is who serves who here. The Neshama doesn't need fixing. The Neshama came down in order to refine the guf. This is overtly, on a deeper level, it is in the end, but the mandate, the mission statement. The Neshama doesn't come down for itself, and quoting from the Alter Rebbe now, we quote from the h'tשכ in Perek Lamezayin in Tanya, the Neshama Atem, the Neshama itself doesn't have to be fixed. It comes from Elamatikun, it comes from the fixed world already. Atzilus. The whole avoid is to fix the good of Shabbahamis. So likewise, the whole Oiris and Kalim. So to the Milo, the whole Kavan of Dirib Tachtoinim, the Ikar Kavan is in the Tachtan and the Kalim. But the day Tikkun HaKelim, that's elevating the sparks, etc. I mean, these words, can be these open words. Does he mean the avodah that needs to be done lemaila? It does mean that. It also means from the perspective of lemaila. It means both. That the kavanah is, work on the kelim. But the tikkun kelim shenasim kelim roim laha'ires, and through fixing the kelim. Physical language here, friends. We have to divest it of its physicality. We're talking about us. So fixing the kelim, the story will illustrate, but we understand what he means. We're working on our physical behavior and the guf and the v'shabahamis. There should be a keli, ruim la'oides. Fix the keli, so the oir will then, it's the inner intent for which there's oir, is naturally expressed. In other words, the oir meaning oir means revelation. So Hashem is revealing in Torah that my kavanah of revealing my infinite presence is that you be known by that. So the light, all right, we're ready to do that. So when the keli is ready to accept it, the oir will be nimshach. I have to convince oir. We don't have to convince a revelation that you have to be revealed lower. Okay, it's not my nature. But the oir appreciates revelation. That's what it's all about. Using language that is very mechanical. Oir keli. We don't have to convince the neshama. Okay, the neshama is a Kabbalah only. It's true about karcha chatacha. You're born against your will, but the neshama is told, "How does a chaim? Listen here. You gotta go down and fix the nefesh b'hamis." Okay, so we're going. And he's dedicated thereafter. Don't keep on reminding the neshama. But the guf is resisting constantly because this is an own locked-in world and knows from nothing other than what's immediate and sensual. And we tell the guf, no, that your whole mitzvah is to reveal that there's an Eibishter that should be expressed in the way you eat and drink. It's a constant battle. That's the avodah. In the words of the Maimon, so once the guf is refined, so the neshama is revealed. The mail is gala oir kavanasa yapnim mishayel. So naturally the neshama is revealed in the guf, which is the intention. That's the whole point. Again, the thrust of the work is on the guf. But the main avodah. The end, we want the neshama revealed here. But what you have to work on is that it should be able to be revealed. Tikkun HaKelim. That the keli should be nullified to want light, want revelation. So what does this mean? Down here in Tikkun HaGuf Neveshabamis, fixing the guf Neveshabamis, that they should not live just lives for the here and now, but want something godly, want a higher life, and want that the neshama be revealed in them. in him. And that takes work. Let's go for it. We're clear? Yeah, kind of. Bechlolus, for sure. Hinde Eis Gimel. It's a hemshach to the previous Mamorim. Hinde bringing a bit of a kelim. So now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. So the avoid the bittel, the nullification, then the rotzoi, the keli, those who want something higher, there's higher, embrace this. We have to affect in the kelim, yesh gimel madreges, there's 3 madreges. Also, this is Ayin Beis. Okay. Yuven Zemin Yarotze the Shabbos. What are these 3 levels? So we'll understand this from the Rotze, from the transcendence of Shabbos. Shabbos is Aliyah So'ilimit. It's all transcendence. Yeah, it brings it. Shabbos Shabbos is the ascent of all of creation. Which is simple meaning is God completed heaven and earth and all of the hosts. Veichul also means absorbed. That heaven and earth, meaning all of the Eilambos, are all Veichul absorbed within Elikus, Elikim. Elikim is over, as it were. That's ends, and it's in the sense of the concealment, and everything ascends to the source. So there are 3 aliyahs in Shabbos. That's the 3 levels of avodah that we have to be pale in the kelim in ourselves. Let's see what that is. With this we learned earlier. The Bali is the Shabbos Hashem Gimal. There exists 3 ascents on Shabbos: Maili Shabbat, Friday night, Yom the Shabbat, Shabbos day, V'Raiv, V'Darayvin, and the Mincha, literally desire of desire. Rotzen of within the Rotzen. So what is this? Maile Shabbat. What's Friday night? Ugmar in Hoyli Malamata Lamaila Bishlemus Habir the Eichel Metech Pselis. Beautiful. So Friday night, what's the Aliyah? What's the Biru there? That's the Shlemus, the perfection of having what? Extracted the food from the waste. That's the Nitzovim dusha that the Jew was engaged in a whole week in making a living and so on. So on Friday night, all the Nitzovim dusha that he connected to have their aliyah. So what kind of bitter is that? That's a bitter of kedusha from the opposite. Eichel, the food from pseilus, from the waste, as was explained at length in the Mamorim ago. Yom the Shabbat, Shabbos day is a higher avodah already. Here we're not extracting or elevating a nitzitz kedusha from soilis, but within kedusha itself, it's in a sense to a higher level. This is the whole arichas Gan Eden Atachten, and Hardenu, the river of fire between the two. V'yachaltem ochel, as the pasuk hints to it in Yoel, you shall eat ochel, fodder food. In other words, already food, but you're eating that which is already food. There's an aliyah within kedusha. That's Shabbos day in kedusha, the aliyah. Commission is explained in the maamar of the. This is a maamar of the Rebbe Rashab Sheish Beis Eifanim Binyan Birurim. There's 2 levels of birur. The lower one is birur Eichel Matech Pseilus, is extracting from the residual waste. Then there's Eichel Matech Eichel within kedusha gufa, food itself, within nutrients themselves. There's a higher level of nourishment. You know, the low level is also a nutrient. And there, that's the difference between Friday night and Shabbos day. What's the 3rd meal? It's not a meal actually. Which is why Pneumius we don't actually eat Shalosh Shudas, so very tenuously. The Raiv, and then is the 3rd level of birur. It's completely beyond birur altogether. It's being there. He's going to explain now. Yeah. Bir Gimlin Yonim Elibalias Akelim, but explained all of this in the refinement of the world of the self. What are these three levels of refinement? What are these three states? In Yascholis, Yinatikun Akelim Bakelim the Bia. So the beginning of the fixing, as it were, of the Kelim starts in Kelim the Bia. As opposed to what? As opposed to Atzilus in the end. But the primary avoid, as you said before, the mandate is Atzilus is perfect, doesn't have to be fixed, and Shom's have to be fixed. Fixed beyond. That's how it begins. But the end is the Aliyah, even Leilam Atzilus, even in the Shoma, which is the Tachlis. But let's see the process. That's deriving. I'm not mistaken. Okay, we'll see. So the beginning is that in the Avodah Beken the Bialafish Ikir Tnuas Hayarida, where what demands fixing is that which is moving away, descending away, downwards. And what's that? To the Chabemer is the Mata, the spirit of the animals drawn downwards. Shabakalim, where is that most obvious this descent? Not the Kalim of Atzilus, but the Kalim the Bia. There's real concealment. There's ego emerges there. Bria, Yitzir Asiyah. There's a sense of separation. So therefore, that has to be fixed. And that's where the beginning of revealing Hashem's unity and oneness, mass address, and has to be fixed. Let's biyah. The sakram to fix them, that they open up and ascend to reveal Hashem. That on each level is also connected to the previous maamar. Each level, the pnimius, there's a longing for a higher level. We got to unlock that. Putting two maamarim together, the longing is there. He's a behemoth externally, but the longing is for something higher. So that's the first avodah, the critical avodah at the outset. But the ma'ili yoser hoinyan tikkun atzilus. And then there's even the tikkun that has to happen in Eilam Atzilus. Didn't we say it was perfect? So he says, well, yeah, it's nice, but it's not the kavanah. Why not? Because even the kelim atzilus, even though we said before, it's integrated with the oil, reveals the oil. It's takelikos. It's the world of tahira, purity. There's no trace of evil there. What's the problem? Problem is, there's still, it's holy. It's a holy entity. Atzilus does not, it's all relative, but Atzilus does not reveal be'emes, the truth of Einid Milvada. Shalach in Oimrim, we'll just read the next few lines, we'll continue tomorrow. Be'ez Hashem, that's what we say about Atzilus. The words in the Zohar are as follows. There in Atzilus, Ihu him, v'chayo, and his life force, the Oyer Chad is one. Ihu he, v'garmoyo, and his causations, the Kelim Chad are one. The question is, why doesn't it just say, Ihu, v'chayo, v'garmoyo, Chad? He, his life force, his revelation, his causations, his Kelim are all one. The word one is mentioned twice because based Pamim Chad, because it's not Giluya Etzel. The Kelim have this sense of Metzias of subtle independence, which we'll address Beit Hashem tomorrow. Even the Kelim Vatzilus have to be fixed. And let's read further. Nasim Mukshadim, that they become Muksha. Muksha means feeding. Shir Behem what? Beyond that Tzilus. So Vahainu, and that means to say, we will, Beis Hashem, continue tomorrow. What's the problem with that Tzilus? Tzilus is offended. What? You're going to fix me? Perfect. Holy Jew.